Everything you thought you knew about this war changed this morning. Everything. Because today, April 3rd, 2026, 34 days into a conflict that Donald Trump promised would be over in 48 hours, a United States Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle from the 48th Fighter Wing was shot down over southern Iran. Shot down. The first American combat aircraft lost to enemy fire in this entire war. The plane that carries 2 crew members, a pilot and a weapons systems officer, was hit by Iranian fire over Qeshm Island in the Strait of Hormuz. Both crew members ejected. One was rescued alive by United States Special Forces in a frantic search and rescue operation on Iranian soil. The other is still missing right now at this moment as you watch this video, with American helicopters scouring the territory around Qeshm Island while Iran is flooding troops into the same area, its state television broadcasting appeals to civilians to capture the Americans alive, and a regional governor offering a $60,000 reward for anyone who hands the missing airmen over to Iranian authorities. And while all of that is unfolding in the Strait of Hormuz, Donald Trump was posting on Truth Social that America should open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune. Those are his exact words. Take the oil, make a fortune, while an American airman is missing on Iranian soil. And while Canada's Trans Mountain Pipeline is running at full capacity, shipping 890,000 barrels of oil per day to Asia. While Canada is part of the 40-nation coalition that met in London yesterday to solve the crisis without Washington, while the USMCA deadline is 88 days away. This changed everything, and this channel is going to tell you exactly how and why. Stop right now and hit subscribe before we go a single sentence further. Turn the bell on. Because what is happening today is the single most significant turning point in 34 days of a war that has already caused the largest oil supply disruption in the history of the global energy market, according to the International Energy Agency. The F-15 going down does not just change the military picture. It changes the political picture, the economic picture, the negotiating picture, and the complete landscape of the Canada-United States confrontation that this channel has been tracking from day one. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Here is the complete story assembled in one place. Let us start with what we know for certain right now, confirmed by CBS News, CNN, NBC News, Axios, The Washington Post, The Intercept, and The New York Times in live coverage throughout this morning. An F-15E Strike Eagle belonging to the 494th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron was shot down over Qeshm Island in the Strait of Hormuz. The 48th Fighter Wing, whose tail flash stripe markings experts identified on the wreckage photos published by Iranian state media, is normally based at RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk, England. The aircraft carries 2 crew members, both ejected. One was located on Iranian territory and rescued alive by United States Special Forces. He was evacuated and is receiving medical treatment for injuries. The helicopter used for the rescue was subsequently hit by small arms fire from Iranian forces or civilians on the ground, wounding crew members but landing safely. In a separate incident during the search and rescue operation, an A-10 Warthog attack aircraft was also hit by Iranian fire. Its pilot ejected over the Persian Gulf and was successfully recovered. Israel suspended all airstrikes in areas relevant to the rescue effort to avoid interfering with the operation. Iran is broadcasting a public call for civilians to capture the remaining American airmen. These are not rumors. These are the confirmed facts as of this moment. And here's the fact that makes the F-15 going down more than a tragic military incident. On Wednesday night, 2 days ago, Donald Trump stood in the cross hall of the White House and said the following words directly to the American people and the world. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. Those words, confirmed verbatim by The Intercept, Axios, and every outlet that carried the speech, were Trump's own assessment of Iran's air defense capability heading into the final phase of what he called Operation Epic Fury. We are unstoppable. And then, 36 hours later, an Iranian air defense system that was supposedly 100% annihilated shot down an American F-15 over the Strait of Hormuz. The gap between what the president said on national television and what happened on the ground today is not a gap that can be explained away by spin or messaging or a late-night Truth Social post. It is a structural contradiction between the official American narrative of the war and the ground-level reality that Iranian forces are fighting back with capabilities that Washington said did not exist. Drop a comment right now. When Trump said on Wednesday night that Iran's radar was 100% annihilated and America was unstoppable as a military force, did you believe him? Do you believe him now that an Iranian air defense system shot down an F-15 36 hours later? And what does it tell you about the rest of the claims that have been made about this war, the timelines, the objectives, the exit strategy, the cost, the risk to American lives, when the central claim of air dominance is contradicted by an F-15 going down over Qeshm Island? Leave your answer in the comments right now. Because this is not a question about politics. It is a question about whether the American people have been told the truth about what their military is facing in this war. Now let us talk about the oil picture, because the F-15 going down is not happening in isolation. It is happening on the same day that WTI crude oil surged 11.4% to $111.54 per barrel. Brent jumped 7.8% to $109.03. Oil markets are closed today for Good Friday, which means the surge is based on futures trading, and it means the full market reaction to the F-15 going down will not be priced in until Monday morning when markets reopen. Think about that. The market has not yet fully absorbed today's news. The price that is causing American gas to head toward $4.50 per gallon, that is pushing diesel toward $6, that is driving the IEA to warn that April will be much worse than March, was set before the world had fully processed that an American fighter jet went down in Iran and a second airman is missing. Monday morning is going to be a very different energy market conversation than Friday morning was. And every American family that drives to work, runs a small business, buys groceries transported by diesel truck, or pays any bill that has an energy cost embedded in it will feel the difference. The IEA Executive Director, Fatih Birol, said it with the full weight of his institution's authority. April will be much worse than March. He said the energy crisis sparked by the U.S.-Iran war was the worst in history. He said we lost 12 million barrels per day, more than 2 of the 1970s oil crises put together. And he said the Strait of Hormuz needs to be reopened. The cure is opening the strait. Everything else is buying time. And today, the man who started the war that closed the strait posted on Truth Social that America should open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune, while simultaneously an American airman is missing on Iranian territory, and the search and rescue helicopter was hit by ground fire, and oil futures were rising 11%. That is the complete picture of where the war stands on April 3rd, 2026, day 34 of a conflict that was supposed to be over in 48 hours. Now let us talk about Mark Carney, because this is the story that connects everything. Carney did not send Canadian troops to Iran. Canada declined Trump's request to participate in the military operation to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by force. Canada refused to send Royal Canadian Navy warships into an active conflict zone to provide military cover for a war it had publicly and explicitly declined to join. That decision, confirmed by CBC News, was described at the time by some American commentators as Canada shirking its alliance responsibilities, as Canada hiding behind American military protection, as Canada taking the safe route while Americans did the hard work. Look at what the hard work has produced on day 34. 14 American troops killed before today, more than 520 injured, an F-15 shot down over Qeshm Island this morning, an airman missing on Iranian soil, 2 helicopters hit, an A-10 Warthog downed during the rescue attempt. A war that the president said on Wednesday night was nearing completion and that produced on Friday morning the first confirmed loss of an American combat aircraft to enemy fire in the entire conflict. Canada did not send its sailors into that. And on the same day the F-15 went down, Canada's Trans Mountain Pipeline was running at full capacity, shipping 890,000 barrels of oil per day to a world that cannot get enough Canadian crude because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. That is not a coincidence. That is a strategic posture executed with the precision of a man who spent 13 years as a central banker studying how leverage shifts under pressure. Here is the scene that captures what Carney's strategic choice looks like in full on April 3rd, 2026. Picture a pipeline control center in Edmonton, Alberta, where operators are monitoring the flow of 890,000 barrels of Canadian crude moving west through 2 steel arteries toward the Pacific Coast Terminal at Burnaby, British Columbia, where tankers are loading cargo for China, Japan, and South Korea, nations that are paying whatever they have to pay for non-Gulf crude because the Strait of Hormuz is functionally closed. That same morning, the man who said Canada should be the 51st state and its prime minister was a governor is posting on Truth Social about taking oil oil and making a fortune while his military is conducting a combat search and rescue operation for a missing airman on Iranian soil. The contrast between these two simultaneous realities is the complete story of this trade war and this conflict in a single image. Canada is pumping oil and signing trade deals. The United States is searching for its missing airman in Iran. And the USMCA deadline is 88 days away. The political damage that today's events will do to the American position heading into the USMCA negotiation is not abstract. Trump's approval rating on the economy was already at 31% before today's news. Just 1/3 of Americans believed he had a clear plan for the Iran war before the F-15 went down. More than 2/3 believed his policies were contributing to worsening economic conditions. Those were the numbers before WTI hit $111 today, before an American airman went missing on Iranian soil, before Iran broadcast a call for civilians to capture American pilots for a $60,000 reward, before Trump posted about taking the oil and making a fortune in the middle of an active combat search and rescue operation. By any measure of political reality, the American position going into the July 1st USMCA review has weakened significantly in the last 24 hours. And Canada's position, which has been built systematically over a year of trade deals, NATO commitments, pipeline capacity, and multilateral coalition participation, has strengthened in exactly the same measure. The USMCA table in 88 days will look like this. On one side, the representative of a government whose aircraft has been shot down, whose airman is missing, whose war is now explicitly in contradiction of its own claims about air dominance, whose oil price is heading toward levels that will cause American consumers genuine economic pain, and whose approval ratings have been in free fall since the war began. On the other side, the representative of a country that declined to join the war, joined the coalition to solve it diplomatically, is running its pipeline at full capacity selling oil to a world that needs it, has 12 trade deals on 4 continents, a Mercosur agreement expected in September, an EU CPTPP bridge connecting $15 trillion, NATO at 2%, and the full strategic clarity of a former central banker who looked at this war from the moment it started and made every decision correctly. Every single one. This changed everything, not because Canada's position was weak before today and became strong because of the F-15. Canada's position was already strong before the plane went down. It became stronger today because the distance between the war's official narrative and its ground-level reality became impossible to bridge. And every point of distance in that gap is a point of leverage that Canada carries into the most important trade negotiation in its history. If this video gave you the complete picture of what happened today, what the F-15 going down means for the war, for the oil price, for the American political position, and for the USMCA negotiation that is 88 days away, share it right now with every American who deserves to understand what their government told them about this war on Wednesday night, and what happened to an American F-15 over the Strait of Hormuz on Friday morning. Share it with every person in your life who has been told that this war is nearing completion, that Iran's air defenses have been annihilated, that we are unstoppable. An American airman is still missing in Iran. The oil is at $111, and Canada never sent a single soldier. Share this.